Hi guys. This is going to be Chatterbox's introductory session. It's going to be a quick 15-20 minute session just telling you about Chatterbox, what it is, how it works, and how Jen Een. I'm in year 12, so I do my A levels and I do history, geography, English lit, and psychology. I am originally from Jordan, but I live in Dubai and I lived here for a while. I love music. Glass Animals is currently like near the top of my list, so if that's you, send me a message on Slack and we can talk about them. My favorite show is Gilmore Girls. I'm not a season 5 Rory fan though, just full disclosure. Um, I'm at Janine Journeys on Instagram, so feel free to follow me there. And I've been a debater for 7 years now, so I've been doing this a long time, and I figured it was time to help other people do this because debating is so much fun. A little bit about our co-founder CJ, short for Kaylee Jade, who is the greatest person you'll ever meet. She also does A levels and she takes English literature, history, and psychology. She spoke and was awarded in the Global Trust for Sustainable Living debate in the Seychelles, and she's been debating since age 10. She's Australian and South African, and she is, in her own words, her words, not mine, one of those rugby girls. And she's at kaylee.jade on Instagram. She's always happy to talk and discuss anything debate related. We want to get to know you. I know this isn't a live session, but if you want in the comments of this session to kind of just introduce yourself and tell us if you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be? For me personally, it's invisibility. I just feel like it's a really cool superpower. You could do a lot of things if you were invisible, good things, bad things, but it gives you a wide range of opportunities, is what I would say. So feel free to just sort of comment that, leave a message, introducing yourself, whatever you want to do. So rules. At Chatterbox, we have rules. We don't have many, but rules are important. So first and foremost, and I'm sure I don't have to say this because everyone we have at Chatterbox is so lovely, but be nice. We don't tolerate harassment, intimidation, bullying. None of that is going to fly here. We want this to be a really welcoming and awesome environment for everybody. Number 2, commitment and communication. So what we mean by this is when you participate in a debate, you make an agreement, you make a promise to your team, and you say, "I'm going to write this argument, and I'm going to have it written by Saturday." Let's say, right? It is then your responsibility as a team member to have your argument written by Saturday, to have it done, because it really sucks if you're in a team and you're working hard and the other people aren't quite putting in as much work as you are. So we want to make sure that everybody honors their promises to their teams and gets their work done on time. Of course, we are all human. Sometimes you're just going to have weeks where it's not going too great, where you think, you know what, I don't think I can make it to this debate this week. I have a lot going on. I'm not feeling great. I'm a little bit sick this week, and that's totally fine. But what we do ask is that you let CJ or I know. You can shoot us a quick message on Slack and say, hey, I'm not feeling great this week. I'm going to sit this one out, and that is totally fine. But you have to communicate that. Communication is key. Number 3, helping each other out. So Chatterbox is a community, and it stands on the principle of collaboration. So what I mean by that is do for others what you'd like them to do for you. So help each other, share information, share guidance. We don't gatekeep at Chatterbox, so helping each other is really, really important in what we do. Now, debate overview. So for those of you who have never done formal debates before, this might be a tiny bit confusing, but just bear with me really quick and I'll explain everything as well as I can. As always, if you have questions, feel free to shoot me a message on Slack. That is completely fine, but I'm just going to run through how we're actually going to format our debates and how they're all going to work. So we have 2 sides in a debate, proposition and opposition. Propositions say yes to the motion. They agree with the motion. They are pro the motion, as in the word proposition. They are agreeing with the motion, basically. And then we have opposition, who are disagreeing with the motion. They're opposed to the motion. So if the motion was, this house believes that pineapple belongs on pizza, the proposition would be saying yes. And so they'd be for pineapple on pizza. The opposition would be against pineapple on pizza. So we start every single debate with opening statements. These are 90 seconds max. You cannot go over that time. They can't be 93 seconds. That's the time we're limiting you to. The proposition goes first, and then the opposition. We will again remind you of this during a debate. We'll say, can we have the opening statement for the proposition, the opposition? We'll make sure that this runs smoothly throughout our debates, but this is just for you to be aware of. So your opening statement is not an argument. What I mean by that is you're not presenting us with a view or an opinion necessarily, but what you are doing is you're giving us a summary of your entire team's argument to make it easy for us as judges to follow through and see how all the different points in your argument connect throughout the debate. Okay? And then we move on to arguments 1 and 2. Now, these are the big chunky parts of the debate. Arguments 1 and 2 are 2 minutes and 30 seconds each, so you've got a decent amount of time. During arguments 1 and 2, points of information are allowed, or as we call them, POIs. Now, if you haven't done a debate before and you haven't heard that phrase before, all a POI is, all a point of information is a question. So if I'm speaking, and somebody says, point of information, they're raising a question to me, and I can choose to either accept or reject. You do not have to answer every single point of information that comes your way. You don't, because you might get, I don't know, something crazy like 10 or 12. You can reject them. You can also accept them. They do not count towards your time. So those 2 minutes and 30 seconds, we're going to stop the clock if you choose to answer a POI. And it's not going to count towards that total time. So after arguments 1 and 2, you get judge questions. So each team is asked one question from the judges based on the information that you give us or the arguments that you give us. Now, judge questions are tricky. They have to be tricky because the whole point of these judge questions is to force you to think about information in new ways or to make connections that you didn't make previously. Okay? So judge questions are going to stretch you a little bit, but you're always going to be able to answer them. So don't stress. And then, last but not least, we have closing statements. Again, the proposition goes first, and then the opposition. These are 90 seconds max, and these should give us a summary of your argument. I always like to see closing statements as like you're tying a ribbon around a really nice present, right? So you're tying everything all together. making it look pretty, and leaving us closing the argument in a really memorable way, right? So this is the debate format. We'll of course remind you of this during debates, so not to stress if you think, oh, I can't memorize all that right now, like I can't remember all the different. That's okay. You'll get used to it as we go on. So this is important. What are you actually being judged on? How do we decide who wins each debate? There are three key things. The third one is on the next slide. But the very first thing is the material, so the actual information in your argument. So we want to see that you have researched, that you're giving us creative arguments and fresh evidence, so new, bright ideas. And we want to say that you're giving us evidence, especially against the other team's argument, not just for your own argument, but against the other team as well. And addressing counter arguments. So counter arguments might sound like, while some might think that pineapple on pizza is a terrible food choice, this is actually incorrect because Professor John at Harvard said that it wasn't. Obviously, that's a very loose and fabricated example, but you understand what I mean. Second thing we're going to be judging you on is method. So this is how you organize your speech and your use of rhetorical devices. So rhetorical devices are those things that your English teachers won't shut up about. So your rhetorical questions, your groups of three, those little language devices that you can include to make your speech more persuasive and more appealing to an audience. So we want to see that your ideas are organized and that they have a nice flow to them. And we want to see that you overall have a central argument, that all of your arguments make sense together. We want to say that you're making good use of time. So remember, opening and closing, that's only 90 seconds. The big chunky arguments, again, only really 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So we want to make sure you're making the best use of that time. And obviously, lastly, the use of persuasive language. So those language techniques you keep hearing about in English class. Used to build up your argument, sure, using to build up your own argument, but also to destroy the other teams. And lastly, what you're being judged on is manner. So this is how you present and how you deliver your speech and your argument. So in my opinion, what's most important, or what I view as most important when I look at a speech or I look at a debate or I look at an argument, is not, how many facts you can bring from Google and paste into your argument. Some people do make that mistake. They give me, 5 great huge numbers and huge facts to just cram into their speech. And I'm like, okay, great. But what matters to me most is that you present them well. So this means, what does this mean? You're speaking clearly. You're varying your tone, so your voice goes up and down. You're putting emphasis on certain words. You're not speaking monotone like this and just continuously like this, because that's really boring. And I mean, I'm sure you don't want to hear a teacher speak monotone at you for 20 minutes. So why put your audience through that? I want to see that you're using notes properly. So not just reading off of paper like this. That's not going to get your audience's attention, right? Using hand gestures and eye contact. And lastly, treating your judges and opponents with respect. So taking questions with respect, even questions that you might not know how to answer, being really respectful and really polite to the judges, to the opposition, to the other side of debaters goes a long way. Unseen debates. So we will have unseen debates. Unseen debates follow the exact same format that I just showed you. The one difference is you will have 20 minutes to prepare your entire debate, right? You will not have seen the motion before. You will have that 20-minute chunk of time to organize your team, write your arguments, and after that, you're going to go straight into presenting them. Okay? They can be a little bit stressful, but unseen debates are really important because they test your ability to research and write under pressure and your ability to work with other people. So the trickiest part about unseen debates is actually being able to organize your team. You're going to be working with 3, maybe 4 other people, and you want to be able to, create a plan and say, okay, you're going to do that argument, I'm going to do this argument, and just work towards it like that. Okay? So we will occasionally be doing unseen debates. Workshops and guest speakers. So alongside the debates that we do, we will be doing regular debates. Chatterbox is a debate forum, a debate society, but we also have workshops and guest speakers. So workshops are basically just sessions like this one, where we will teach you how to write better speeches. We'll teach you how to speak more confidently, how to do really quick research, and how to come up with good rebuttals or good POIs. Okay, so these are little teaching sessions. They won't be anything like, you know, Monday morning English class where it's like 30 kids and they're all half asleep. They'll be fun sessions, but they'll be informative nonetheless. We also host guest speakers. So guest speakers will be female professionals from a range of different fields that will come and speak to us about how they got where they are, right? So they'll come and give us advice. They'll tell their stories, and it will just be a really interesting opportunity to talk to somebody who maybe works in a field or in an area that you're really interested in and you want to go into. And lastly, you'll have mentors. So CJ and I, like I said, have been doing debate for a really long time. We are here to help you. We're here to give you advice after your debates. We're here for you to ask us questions. We are here to help. We want to help. Photos and videos. I'm going to need you guys to get back to me on this. This is a really important point. So obviously we love Chatterbox and we want to share with the entire world how fabulous you guys are. So what that means is sometimes we might post clips from debates on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. We might, post photos from debates, but we want to respect everyone's right to privacy. So if you think, you know what, I actually don't want to be in any of these videos, any of these photos, I don't want my name out there online, that is completely fine, but you have to let CJ and I know. Drop us a message on Slack. However you want to do it, you just have to let us know, okay? Our first debate. So you guys submitted so many amazing motions. Here are a few of them. These motions blew us away. And there are so many great ones. So me and CJ had like a kind of a tough time sorting through all of them, deciding. But I'm just going to give you a second to read through those motions because they're really, really cool. My personal favorite is this house believes that teachers should be replaced by AI. Very, very interesting world if, I don't know, you came to class and a robot greeted you. Anyhow. So our first debate is going to be on the motion, this house believes that children make better leaders than adults. Our debates, our sessions are going to happen at the very same time. So Saturday, every week at 6 p.m. If you have any problems at this time, if you think, you know what, I actually can't do that. I have football practice at that very same time, or I have spent time with my family at 6 p.m. Let us know. Just drop us a quick message and we'll be happy to try and find a time that works really well for everybody. Okay? So we'll have our first debate next Saturday. So to put it in perspective for you guys, next Saturday is Saturday, the 1st of July. Okay? That's when we're going to hold our first debate at 6 p.m. And then after our first debate, we're going to have a workshop where we just basically give feedback and we work on how we can improve from our first debate. Because our first debate isn't going to be perfect and there's always room for improvement. I know what a lot of you are thinking. Okay, cool. We have the motion. Cool. How are we going to decide teams? I know, it's a very pressing question. So to start, CJ and I are going to allocate you to either proposition or opposition. And after we've done our first debate, we're going to elect star speakers. We're going to choose star speakers from each side. So we're going to choose star speakers based on who really wowed us with the way they wrote their speech and the way they delivered their speech. There's going to be one from each side. Then those star speakers get first dibs for teams. So they get to pick 3 or 4 people who they think, okay, I want these people on my team. And that's how we're going to decide teams from then onwards. I hope that's clear. So our first debate, this motion was suggested by Ariella. It was a really, really cool motion. She was saying how she really wanted to do a motion about kids in positions of power, kids as leaders, kids kids being in charge, essentially. So for our first debate, for our proposition, basically saying that kids do make better leaders, we have Annika, Sophie, Ariella, and Ada. And for opposition, saying that adults make better leaders, Zoe, Zara, Roha, Ayat, and Rhea. Okay? I actually think, sorry, there's a mistake. Rhea's not on the opposition team. She's not going to be joining the junior team. So in that case, ignore Rhea's name. It's going to be Zoe, Zara, Roha, and Ayat on the opposition. Once again, I hope that is clear. You're going to be put into private Slack channels so you can coordinate with your team and you can write your debates. Okay? So we're really excited for our very first debate. And that's it. Thank you for listening. These are our social media handles. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn. So if you want to check us out on any of those sites, please feel free. If you have any questions, then please do not hesitate to message either CJ or myself on Slack. We are always checking our phones, and we're more than happy to help with anything you may need help with. We're really, really excited to be doing this. And yeah, we're looking forward to our first debate.